welcome to another episode of Earning the Hate. How you going, people? Well, looking at this footage, let's take a look at it.
Woman unconscious after she was slammed to the ground by an officer.
And the tense exchange caught on camera here. Let's go to local 10 story.
So, an officer threw Miguel Vasquez, whatever his name is, they'll say it here in a minute. Not a white male, by the way. Throws this woman who is handcuffed to the ground. She can't defend herself, busts her head, and is knocked unconscious. And you can tell the outrage of this white racist officer who was just outraged that you threw a girl. And he's like, what the hell, dude? So he's kind of pissed.
Forney, live in Miami with what the panel is recommending tonight.
Officer is responsible for what went wrong here at this gas station. 4 total, but 2 don't even work for the department anymore, so their options are limited.
So the 2 that don't work for the department, one was the officer that threw her. He resigned. And the other one is Sergeant. He retired. So, I mean, he was ready to retire and he retired. So there, and I think they said he falsified documents. So he might have said he didn't see something they proved he saw, or he changed his story. I mean, the only way they get you for falsifying documents if you agree that you falsified. It's very hard to prove that otherwise. Even if you have video and you said this is what I saw, unless they're just, you know, unless it's a shooting and you go, no, there was no shots fired, I didn't see anything, and you were right there, then they can probably get you falsifying. But on something like this, the sergeant could say, hey, I know she was uncooperative, she was yelling, she spit on the officer, which was battery, and when he tried to take her out of her car, she fell to the ground. He might be able to say that. It looks like he throws her.
Julissa Burgos' face.
So this woman looks, now look, I'm not trying to make light of this, but when your hands are handcuffed and your head breaks your fall, you get injuries like this. So she got a scrape on her chin, escape here. However, doesn't say what she was arrested for, but she does spit on the officer, even though it's kind of a BS spit. I mean, it looks like she spit maybe on his pants. The officer just reacted, and he was a big dude, and he threw this little girl who was handcuffed to the ground. And this is just typical of cops nowadays. They're not held accountable. They have immunity. This guy was able to resign and get no criminal charges. And this happens a lot. The DA, if a cop did something, the DA would talk to the chief and say, look, if this guy quits and gets out of here, I won't charge him. And it's a deal that's cut between the DA. The DA covers for cops. He doesn't say, this guy committed a freaking crime, I'm charging him. He can quit or you can fire him, but I'm charging his ass. That doesn't happen because the DAs want the cops on his side. We're working together. We got to help each other. We're on the same team. All this teamwork bullshit obstructs justice.
Was left with swelling and bruises following her rough arrest 15 months ago. You'll notice she spits on the officer while handcuffed in the back of a cruiser.
So that was a pretty weak spit. I mean, somebody ought to teach this girl how to spit. I mean, I'm not even sure if it cleared her chin. It was kind of like like she was trying to get a hair out of her mouth. I mean, it's not like a loogie to the face.
The officer while handcuffed in the back of a cruiser.
Very weak spit.
Don't spit on my face.
He said, don't spit on my face. She said, fuck you. So he didn't grab her when she spit. He grabbed her after she said, fuck you. By the neck, threw her face down on the ground, and she pits her face. That is a pretty significant impact. I mean, even when I'm walking a suspect in handcuffs and they trip and fall, they hit the ground pretty hard. And that's by accident. I'm not trying to be funny here. I've never intentionally tripped somebody and let him fall. But sometimes they're drunk. Sometimes when a tight area, sometimes he yanks away. Sometimes he gets a little aggressive and I'm trying to grab him and he falls. A lot of times I can hold on to his arm and kind of break his fall. But sometimes it happens legitimately and they still kind of get injuries. This is just flagrant. By the neck and threw you on the ground. This cop's a punk.
Don't spit on my
Wow. Rick, it's a blue line. There are most heroes, and this is just an isolated incident. And why are you always picking on the cops? Because this rarely happens. Okay.
Don't spit in my face.
Remember, people, these are only the footage that government gets caught, somebody leaks, or somebody does a Freedom of Information and finds it. None of these incidents that we find out about, very rarely, do the government just voluntarily say, oh, we found this and we're going to let the public know. That's not how we find out. So for everyone we find out, there's probably 10 to 15 to 20 that we don't know, maybe even higher. That's the problem when you lose faith and you have government protecting government and a blue line telling everybody we're heroes, we're all good guys, and these are isolated incidents.
What the hell do? She's what the face, man.
That video
So not only was he pissed, but the crowd's pissed.
and a second angle we're now seeing, both from police body cams, were scrutinized publicly Tuesday night.
This is Officer Hernandez right here.
Here, Miami's civilian investigative panel revealed their findings of its months-long investigation.
Seeing this building, this is freaking government waste for me. Look at this nice panel. Everybody has their own area, their own name, their nice leather chair. This huge artwork that costs thousands of taxpayer money. These nice, huge windows. That every time I see these architectural maniac freaking expensive shit in government buildings, it just drives me nuts. Government should not be spending our money to make them look like they're special and they're important and we need to treat them as if royalty. I don't like that. Rick, why are you cracking on government?
Investigative panel revealed their findings.
Shocked, even disgusted to witness what we saw in that body-worn footage.
The Oversight Committee.
I'm an empowered, strong woman, and I'm gonna talk really low so nobody can hear me because I want to freaking come on, people.
Which looks into claims of police misconduct, agreed the actions of Officer Miguel Hernandez.
Wow, look at all this diversity. Who's this little token hire right here? A little token white dude.
Punching, then grabbing and slamming the woman onto the ground was excessive and should be criminal. Burgos was left.
So this guy, after this cop goes, what the hell? This guy's like, what? She spit on me, man. I was trying to take her out of the car and she fell. I guarantee you that's what his statement was.
Unconscious.
I think the evidence in this case is overwhelming and it clearly went too far.
There wasn't the point at all in that video where the officer was de-escalating the situation from the very first contact until the inevitable ending.
Officer Hernandez resigned last summer amid the investigations and was
So this must be Hernandez, or whatever they said his name was.
never charged. That alone was part of an argument by former Miami Chief Art Acevedo, who
Is that the same little piece of shit that left Houston?
charged
That chief?
that
Did they fire his ass? I think a Houston chief went to Florida. He was a piece of shit in Houston. Look at all these stars. Wow. Wow. Look at all this reflection. Wow. Wow. Stars and reflection. It's like a sky.
That alone was part of an argument by former Miami Chief Art Acevedo, who in his lawsuit against the city after his firing brought up the same incident.
So now the chief is going to say, I was fired because I tried to stop this. He's full of shit. He ran a crooked-ass department in Houston.
Claiming there was a pattern of a cover-up of excessive force cases to protect cops, a culture he says he was trying to.
Grabbed her around the neck. Handcuffed. Wow. This dude's really tough. Man, I mean, that's... I wonder what this guy runs home and tells his girlfriend or his wife or his boyfriend. Yeah, I grabbed this girl. She was handcuffed. I grabbed her by the neck and threw her on the ground, busted her head, and knocked her out. I'm a bad mofo. I need to go to the gym. Feel good about myself.
And the state attorney's office says criminal charges are unlikely because that female victim is not cooperating with the.
Shocking. The female victim is not cooperating. Now, what does that mean? Probably means when we would get a case like this at the DA's office, like, hey, we got this victim, we got to get contact, we can't find her. She's kind of disappeared. And then we try to find her. Then we found her. We'd be like, hey, on this date, you were injury and we're investigating it against. Fuck you. You guys ain't gonna do shit. You guys are all working together. Fuck you. I'm trying to get a statement from you so we can prosecute the cop. I'm on your side. I just need you to give me a statement and answer some questions. I ain't fucking you fucking cops. You're fucking all dirty and you're all working together. So fuck you. And now we get on the news. The female victim is being uncooperative. That's what that means, people.
This office says criminal charges are unlikely because that female victim is not cooperating with the investigation. A sergeant later retired after he admitted to fabricating a police report.
Admitted to fabricating. Because I was about to say, it's pretty hard to get you to say you're fabricating. That's why cops do it. If you know how to, they call it creative police report writing or creative writing. You know how to write something, you can use lawyer language on, I have no recollection, I'm not sure, I don't recall that, for the best of my knowledge, from what I could see, my angle was obstructed, there was a lot going on, for officer safety, I was paying attention to other things, so I'm not real sure what happened. So it's pretty easy to so-called fabricate your statement. So I don't know, but he admitted to fabricating, which is a dumbass move. He's a sergeant. You would think he would learn better. You don't ever admit anything to fucking government because they'll use it against you. Rick, you're just trying to protect dirty cops. I don't tell cops that. I tell everybody that. Don't ever complain. Cops are the worst dumbasses to cooperate with government. They think they're friends. And then they get screwed when they run their freaking mouth. Just like everybody gets screwed when you talk to the government. Anyway, I forgot how this ended.
Here, 2 more officers are still employed tied to this entire incident, and this panel is recommending that they be disciplined for improper use of their body-worn cameras.
So, if they're calling for discipline on the 2 officers for improper use, that means those guys either didn't turn it on, they tried to cover it up, or they tried to erase it, or they turned off their volume, or they were heard on there. Hey man, don't talk now, let's cover it properly. Something happened for them, improper use of their thing. It could be as simple as policy says you turn on your camera when you go to incident, and 2 guys didn't turn on their camera because you jump out of your car and we're worried about that and you forget to turn on your camera. So, all right, we'll end that there. I don't know if this is, I guess this should be an earning to hate. Okay, we'll make this earning to hate isolated incident number 40,447. All right, we'll end that there.